This is a special report from ABC News Digital.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ty Hernandez in New York with this ABC News Digital special report. Time is running out for lawmakers in Washington to reach a deal to stop the government from shutting down after Monday. The Senate's considering a temporary measure to keep paying the nation's bills, but Republican House leaders won't support it because it also keeps funding Obamacare, a law they're determined to stop. ABC's Karen Travers reports.
The tea leaves on Capitol Hill suggest a government shutdown is less likely, but the next few days are going to be very contentious. The Senate's moving forward on a bill that keeps the government running temporarily and keeps funding for Obamacare intact. But the big question, will the House accept that?
I do not see that happening.
Last week, the House passed a spending bill that would fund the government through mid-December, but it stripped all funding for Obamacare.
The American people don't want the president's health care bill, and they don't want the government to shut down. Republicans are listening.
But even if Congress averts a crisis this time, another one is looming right around the corner. And it seems like House Republicans are keeping their powder dry for that battle. Yesterday, Treasury Secretary Jack Lew said the government will hit its credit limit on October 17th, unless Congress votes to raise the debt ceiling. Republicans see this as a golden opportunity to try and force the White House's hand. They're unveiling a plan that raises the debt ceiling in exchange for a one-year delay in implementing the health care law, as well as government spending cuts. But the White House says cutting a deal on the debt ceiling is not happening.
I will not negotiate on anything when it comes to the full faith and credit of the United States of America.
I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work that way.
After the last big showdown over the debt ceiling in 2011, the U.S. credit rating was downgraded and the stock market plummeted. Wall Street is once again worried that Congress is taking the economy to the brink. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
And now we have ABC News senior Washington correspondent Jeff Zeleny with us. He's been following this story. Joins us now from D.C. Jeff, we saw there the president, very passionate, obviously Senate and House Republicans very much entrenched in their view. Is anyone actually negotiating a compromise at this point with less than a week to go?
There's not much compromise being negotiated on the above board, but beneath the surface of this, you can definitely feel some negotiations. After Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas's marathon speech a couple nights ago in the Senate, that really was all that some Republicans could stand, quite frankly, they tell me. So they know that they have to move this forward. There really is widespread agreement that shutting down the government would be bad for both parties, but bad in particular for the Republican Party, that would be blamed for this because they control the House. So things are moving along very slowly. Senators are giving their floor speeches today, why they're opposed to the Affordable Care Act, why they support it. So we do see the end in sight here, but the path, the direct path of compromise is still not clear.
While this is happening in Washington, the president has traveled to reach out to ordinary Americans and supporters about the health care bill itself, about those health exchanges, which are getting started soon. He's also got a difficult road ahead with that. Can you explain that?
Well, he does. I mean, he was in Missouri last week. He was in Maryland today. He almost feels like this is his third campaign. In a sense, it is his third campaign. He is really reprising some of the lines and messages he used when he was running for re-election, saying why health care coverage is good for you. But now, I mean, the reality of this is it is beginning very soon. On Tuesday, people can start enrolling in this, and it's really a long period. They don't have to enroll until next March, but then the individual mandate kicks in, and what that means is everyone has to have insurance. So there really is a ferocious campaign going on with opponents to the Health Care Act, advertising heavily and raising money heavily, trying to convince people to not sign up for this. At the same time, this is coming at the exact same moment of the budget showdown. The government runs out of money on Tuesday to keep functioning. So all these things are happening at one time, not by accident here. Republicans are hoping to get extra attention here for some more opposition on the Affordable Care Act. But the reality is it's the law of the land. We heard Senator John McCain say yesterday on the Senate floor quite succinctly, look, we've lost this fight. We have to move forward here. This is the law. This will be implemented.
As we see this division in Washington, we're also getting a sense of division among Americans. There's a new poll that shows that neither side is winning this fight.
I mean, Americans still are deeply skeptical of the Affordable Care Act. They like what may be in the Affordable Care Act. They like what, some specific provisions, like people with pre-existing medical conditions now can be covered. They must be covered by law. People who are under the age of 27 now can stay on their parents' insurance plans. So they like those elements, but they are confused by the bureaucracy of it. They don't like the government necessarily being involved in this. And there really is this information and misinformation campaign on both sides. So the Affordable Care Act remains unpopular as a whole, but even more unpopular is shutting down the government because of it, or defunding Obamacare. So basically, the public does not love this, but there is a sense out there, even among those who don't like it, it shouldn't be used to shut down the government.
Now, we've heard the threat of shutting down the government before. What exactly does that mean? If this happens and we wake up on Tuesday, what would be different?
Well, your lights are still going to come on. In some places, your trash may not be collected, particularly here in the District of Columbia, a federal city. A lot of services would not be picked up. But basically, it means this: all non-essential government employees would have to stay home. They are not allowed to come to work. Only employees that have a national security purpose would be allowed to work. So you would see this. You would see a shutdown of parks, museums. Passports would not be processed. TSA agents would be cut all the way back at the airport. So you may have longer lines and things like that. The National Institute of Health may not be able to screen for outbreaks of diseases and other things unless it became an emergency. So just basic government services that people come across in their everyday life may slow down. Now, the last time we saw this was nearly 2 decades ago. In 1995, the government did shut down a couple times that year. And what it means is that the government effectively grinds to a halt. But this is actually expensive. You would think that shutting down the government may actually save money. It actually costs money because of the economic impact, the trickle-down effect, if you will. And also, agencies right now across the government are preparing to for contingency plans of shutting down the government. So they're not getting their normal work done. But again, people on both sides of the Capitol, Speaker John Boehner, the Republican Speaker of the House, said today that he does not believe the government will shut down. Republicans and Democrats in the Senate, they believe that they can find a way out of this. So the smart money at this point, talking to a lot of people as we do here on Capitol Hill, that this will get worked out, but they have until midnight Monday night. If it goes into Tuesday a little bit more, as Karen said in her report a little bit earlier, there is some brinksmanship involved here, but it's a lose-lose proposition for any elected official if the government actually shuts down. All right, so we shall wait and see, but remain positive. ABC's Jeff Zalny in Washington. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll leave the lights on here. Thanks, Ty. Okay, good. For now, I'm Ty Hernandez in New York. Thank you for watching this ABC News Digital Special Report.
This has been a special report from ABC News Digital.